Hi, folks. Welcome to Cordisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And that's your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi, folks. Welcome back. I'm going to go over something I haven't done in a while. Many of you are subscribers of mine, watch my videos. Thank you. And a lot of people don't realize I am also a big chess enthusiast. When I had my business I recently sold in April this year, I had a big room out back where I had a chess club, and I also ran nationally rated tournaments in the back of my store. And I live in upstate New York in Broome County. I live in Binghamton, and the Broome County Chess Championship was held there every single year for 11 years. Unfortunately, now there's no place to have it. And then last year, of course, the COVID killed the one. It was a memorial for my brother Francis, who passed away. It was called the Francis Cordisco Memorial County Chess Championship, and it did pretty well. And so chess has been a passion of mine for a long time. And right now, going on now, if you want to see some really good analysis of all the games, this is the U.S. Chess Championship 2021. This is round one. Now, a lot of the top players in the U.S. are not playing. They're playing in other tournaments around the world. That's the one thing that COVID did. It actually expanded the game of chess dramatically, but online, not in-person tournaments. And all the world-class players now are playing online for big, big money prizes. So anyway, make a long story short, this is a game, interesting game. I haven't gone over it in depth, but I had the computer analyze it. And right now I have Stockfish 10, which is more than enough for us to analyze it. It's going to be a Elkins defense. Let's go through the opening quick. I've never played it. I don't know anything about it. You chase the knight around for a while, and it looks like White's got an overwhelming pawn center. But we're going to see how it happens. I haven't done in a game in a long time, so I'm going to have to figure out how to do the different colors and stuff and that kind of thing, but I'll figure it out. One thing, though, I don't like this about black is because, I mean, look at all the squares that White controls. I mean, he's got that massive pawn center. But this is an old, tried and true opening. I've never played it. It's what they call theory, where you have the first 20 moves down. So let's go through. Oh, excuse me. Knight comes out. Bishop. Bishop. Let's go for the first few. This is basically the opening. And you can see on the right there, I have the computer, Stockfish 10. And what it's doing is it's analyzing the game and giving its best top 3 suggestions. And those of you that don't know chess, if you look on the right, number 1, where it says in parentheses 0.29. That means it's an advantage for White. A negative, a minus, would be an advantage for Black. And they do it by pawns. So in this instance, White would have a 0.35 advantage, which is 1/3 of a pawn, which is basically even. And that's how you get an idea. Now, I like Bishop E2 myself, and then he would just play the knight anyway, and then we'll go to there. He played knight to F3, Bishop E7. Black is looking to castle. Bishop E2. White's also looking to castle. But I don't like this so much that this open file here. It's open file on your king, but it's also open file for your rook when you castle. So it depends how you look at it. Depends how aggressive you want to be. Castles, castles. F6. He wants to open up that file as well and go after White's pawn center. As you can see, White's pawn center is pretty formidable. Pawn takes. Bishop takes. Now, look, they're all ganging up on the D4 pawn. Those of you that don't play, you would have an arrow, we'll say, going here to here. Well, what you're seeing is D. It's A, B, C, D on the bottom. So this is the D file. and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So this square here would be the D4 square, and that's how they do the notation. Those of you who don't know. Queen comes up. Now you want to connect your rooks. You want to connect your rooks together. They're much more powerful that way. Queen E7. As you can see on the computer, it's fairly close. Rook A to D1. You want to get your rooks in open files, and eventually White is going to get an open file by pushing this pawn. Rook A to D8. Put your guys on the same. King to H1. That's interesting. Now, I'm looking at the computer, and the computer gives that as one of its moves. It must be a standard opening move. I'm not familiar with this opening, and we're on move number 15. H6. That's really interesting because if he had played bishop here, bishop takes, queen takes, knight takes, and a lot of the pieces are gone. So he goes H6 just to guard that square. H3, basically doing the same thing, just guarding the G4 square. And as you can see, slowly but surely, Black's got a little bit of a advantage. Now it's pretty much vanished. So we'll say this is even. Now it looks like Black is going to double up his rooks on the D file. Queen to C1. So he wants that queen off of this file. Because when Black brings over his other rook, you don't want these two rooks bearing down on the queen. Queen E1 was also a suggestion, but I like Queen C1 better. And it shows a question mark here. And rook to E8. If you're going to double up the rooks, double them up. And this is Daniel Naroditsky. I mean, he's over 2,600 FIDE. He's one of the top probably 20 players in the United States easily. And I'm really surprised at that. Must have been something he was working on. Rook to E8, rook to D2. White decides I'm going to double up as well. Rook to D8, queen to D8. So what he decided to do instead is, instead of putting this rook here and doubling up, he decided to put the queen, which I'm not real thrilled with. Rook F to D1, Ray doubles up. King to H8, just getting out of the line of fire, I think. Sometimes it's just a holding move. B3, just to reinforce the C4 pawn. Bishop comes back just to get him out of the line of fire, but still having a hold over all of these squares. Bishop G1. In fact, they're playing around now, looking to see what the other one's going to do, be honest with you. Knight to C8. Maybe he's going to reroute his knight. Maybe to here, to here. Oh, excuse me. Not to there, but to here. This knight here really wasn't doing much. He can't go here. What's he going to do here? I mean, there's not much he can do. D5. This is where White wants to open it up. E takes, knight takes. Now, knight is threatening this bishop. And at the same time, these double rooks are bearing down. Bishop takes E4. Not very good move. The computer likes bishop B5. Knight D6. And I'm really surprised because Daniel is a really, really good player. Bishop B4, question mark. Now, knight takes F6. Rook takes D2. And if you can see right here on the right, White gave up a bishop and got a rook. So Black is what they call the exchange up currently. Knight takes. Bishop just takes the pawn. But see, here's the thing. You've got a Your bishop is hanging for free. And your rook is going to be captured by the knight. So if you figure if you're going to lose one of them anyway, take a pawn. That's going to expose his king. King takes, rook takes e2. Now, if you look on the right, white is up a piece. It's a bishop for a pawn. King to f1. Rook takes, queen takes knight. So now, as the smoke clears here, knights are worth 3, bishops are worth 3, rooks are worth 5, pawns are worth 1. Black has 7 points, white has 8. It's interesting. I don't know if I would have done it that way. But he covers the check by attacking the queen. The queen goes back to d8. So basically what it comes down to is you've got a knight and a pawn against a rook. Queen to d2. White wants to exchange. Black wants no part of it, of course. Queen f4. King to g8. Now it's interesting because this pawn is hanging. Queen takes. Queen e6. Get the queen out of there. Well, she'll do some good. Right on the enemy black king. Knight d6. He's got to get these knights active. It's all he has. Where on the other hand, white's bishop on g1 isn't really doing much. Queen to g4. White wants to trade queens very badly because if it ends up being you trade this bishop for one of these knights and you trade the queens off, that means this rook will be against one of the knights. And there's no way the position can be held. The rook will just overpower the knight. So he has to move the queen. Bishop h2. Can't trade. Queen to c8 check. King comes up. Queen to c7, trying to trade again. He refuses the trade. Queen takes f7. And now it's overwhelming. It was overwhelming before. Back here, if you see the computer, it was +5 for white. He's absolutely being slaughtered. And when he doesn't trade queens, as you can see, it's a 7-point advantage. Almost 8. That's about being a queen up. So it's basically over. Takes, check. Trying to get some, what they call perpetual checks. Check again. King comes up. Queen e4. But this time the king moves over. And eventually the king can hide from all the checks. Right now, there isn't any checks. So now black moves the knight to move in on the white king, but queen to f4 stops everything. Queen checks. King e3. Looks like he's in trouble, but he's not. Check. King moves up. King e6. Queen checks. King. Bishop there. And there comes the killer move. That's the killer move. Knight to g5. And that's where he resigns. But the computer won't let go any farther than this, but why it won't, I have no idea. Let me go back a little ways. Oh, looks like it froze. Knight to g5. Queen takes pawn. Well, you're saying, well, John, my God, he's going to lose his queen. There's going to be a check on the white king, and he's going to lose his queen. Well, no, there is no checks. Because if black checks here, white just moves the queen and saves his queen. And white's up a rook and a bishop. There's nothing he can do. Absolutely nothing. Pawn takes. And that's the end. It's very interesting because what's going to happen now is bishop's going to take, and it's over. I'm really surprised that Daniel would mess up towards the end like that badly. Maybe he was in time trouble. But anyway, let's go back a little bit here to here. I think his mistake was back here, that bishop to e4. That was his problem. That was the beginning of the end. What he should have played instead, there's a lot of moves he could make. A6, bishop e5. Just to move, just to leave it like it is. But here's his problem. His problem is his queen. Just remember earlier, he didn't move the rook over. And this queen was here. He wouldn't have this issue. If this rook was here and this queen was here, he wouldn't have the issue. A little mistakes like that. Because now he goes there. And once he takes that bishop, this whole thing falls to pieces. It's really amazing. And that's on move 23. So I really don't think that Daniel was in trouble time-wise. Those you don't play, there's clocks on each side. And you're allowed so much time per game. You can take as long as you want per move, but you have a total number of minutes and hours on each side. I don't think he was in time trouble. Usually, as a rule, if you ever watch Ray Robson's games, who's white, 98% of the time, Ray's the one in serious time trouble. So maybe he just miscalculated. I really and truly don't know. Bishop e5 is what the computer is calling for. Then after knight takes, it's still bad for black, but I don't think it's nearly as bad. Not nearly as bad. He's going to have to do some finagling. He's probably going to have to move this knight here. To move the knight from c8 to d6 just to block that file temporarily. And it's going to be a miserable position for a while. But at least he wouldn't be down material. But anyway, folks, that's one of the games from round 1 of the U.S. Championship. Hope you enjoyed it. I haven't done chess in a while, so I'm a little rusty. Sorry about maybe some of the analyzing. I'll get the hang of it again as the U.S. Championship moves on. I do want to say, though, that next month, I believe it's towards Thanksgiving, roughly, starts the World Championship between Magnus Carlsen, the current champion from Norway, and Ian Nepomniachtchi from Russia. And they're going to be playing in Dubai, basically from Thanksgiving through the end of December, Christmas time, month and a half. So that's going to be really fascinating, and I'll be covering that as well. But I wanted to cover a chess game because I haven't done it in a long time. Anyway, folks, there it is. And until next time, goodbye and good luck.